This is the Monumental Tremolo from Walrus Audio. It's the stereo version of their Monuments Tremolo, but it's got a bunch of new controls, new features, it's analog, and it sounds like this. In the box, you get a little sticker, a pick, another sticker, a quick start guide with a QR code to the full manual, some suggested settings, a Walrus Audio catalog, and of course, the pedal. Now, because this is a stereo pedal, I will be recording most of this video with the JC40 in stereo, but I will do some mono samples as well for those of you who want to use this pedal in mono. Let's look at the connections. On this side, we've got the inputs. You can go in mono or stereo. You can also attach an expression pedal or tap tempo. And yes, I will be doing that. On the other side, we've got the outputs, mono and stereo, and then 9-volt power in. Well, it says 9 volts, but in the manual, it says you can also run it at 12 volts and get more headroom. I'm going to run it at 9 volts. So let's go over the knobs and switches. And at the same time, let's see what's different to the original Monument. I mean, firstly, this one's got 2 wolves on it and that one's only got 1. So that's 1 wolf better. Also, the Monumental is true stereo, whereas the Monument is only mono. But for me, the biggest upgrade is that this has 3 presets possible and there are no presets on the Monument. And you can switch presets by just pressing both of the foot switches at the same time. And then to save something, let's go there. And then you just hold them down. And you've saved a preset. There's also live mode, so there's 3 presets plus whatever's on the knobs. Both of the pedals allow you to control the wave shape, but the Monumental has a new added wave shape called Bump. And the tap division knob is now a little switch on the Monumental, and you get 1 extra division. Also on the Monument, you could switch between harmonic and standard, and then on the Monumental, there's a knob to blend between standard and harmonic. And with the pan knob, you can control the stereo spread of the tremolo. Both pedals have a volume knob, which is absolutely necessary on a tremolo pedal because of some slight volume dips you can experience. Then we've got standard tremolo controls, such as rate, which you can use with the knobs, or you can tap it in with the foot switches. And there's depth, which affects the strength of the tremolo. And if you hold down the tap tempo on the Monumental, you can ramp up or ramp down to get like a Leslie sort of effect. I love tremolo as an effect. It's extremely creative, and I think there are 3 main ways in which it can be used. The first one is so subtle that you barely notice it, but you would notice if it was gone, like this. The second way is as the main flavor, the main spice of the tone, and without the tremolo there, it wouldn't be possible to get this sound. And then thirdly, in conjunction with a fuzz or a distortion, and then the depth set really high, so you get helicoptering. All right, I try not to make my videos longer than they need to be, so let's jump straight into my top 5 tones. I love that little Nancy Sinatra riff, and the Monumental has that harmonic trem that just sits beautifully in old-style classic Fender. And having it in stereo as well makes a huge difference. I'm going to play it again in mono, just so you can hear the difference between, those 2 settings. Let me just unplug the right channel, which will instantly put the Monumental in mono. And I'll play a little bit of that again. I honestly didn't realize how much difference this being in stereo would make until I plugged it in and then unplugged it earlier before I recorded the video. it makes a huge world of difference. And I don't think I ever want to have tremolo in mono again, which is a real shame because I reviewed the White Whale not long ago from Crazy Tube Circuits, and I fell in love with that thing massively. And now this comes along, it's stereo, and it just sounds even bigger. And I'm guessing that most of you watching this don't run in stereo, so I will try and demonstrate some stuff in mono as well. But get yourself a JC40; they're brilliant. Now for this, I've added the Constellation Fuzz, and I've gone into square shape mode on the Monumental. Tapped it in with the tippy-tappy button, and it sounds great. So I just want to show you without the tremolo, because it's still a kick-ass riff based on, what am I doing? Guerrilla Radio. But with the trem... Yeah, see, it's suddenly more creative, suddenly more interesting to the ear. And that's why I love trem. And the Monumental is doing a great job of giving me both of those. So I've gone from Nancy Sinatra to Rage Against the Machine-ish, and I can save those two as presets. So that makes me really happy. Right, next one. Classic riff that I often test guitars with, and I did overcook the trem a little bit on that, but I wanted to accentuate it a little bit because it's in mono. And yeah, the Boss FBM1 is adding that little bit of tube amp grit to the JC40. I'm going to do something a little bit more extreme now with one of these extreme shapes and make something up. That reminded me a bit of REM and maybe a bit of Here Comes the Sun, but that was with the new bump shape. And I guess it's up and it's not sine wave. It's kind of hard to describe, but hopefully you can hear the difference because I'm not sure that my ears distinguishing between all these different shapes apart from the obvious square and sine wave. Let's go super all out. I'll get the baritone and we'll put more fuzz through it and see what silly sounds we can make. Yeah, that random one is not for me. That makes me feel like something's broken and like the cable's pulled out or something. I don't like random. It scares me. I didn't realize I was so much of a traditionalist. Let's try that Z-shaped one. No, I'm a traditionalist. Okay, that surprises me. I had no idea. Right, what we do need to do is explore the pan knob, because I haven't done that yet. I need to go back to a regular guitar, I think. Right, that's better. Now, first thing I'm going to do is set this up sort of medium style. Yeah, let's put everything in the middle and balance that out. Right. It turns out that I completely misunderstood the pan knob, and I thought that panning it was panning it to the left and to the right. It's not the case. All the way to the left is the minimal amount of panning, and then all the way to the right is the maximum amount of panning, Andy. I'm very sorry if I misled anybody. Stay there. Let's try this. So let's go from one extreme to the other. Very cool. Okay. I may have been saying certain things that weren't true. Not too much. I mean, the rest of it's there, but anytime I talked about the pan knob, I may have misled you. I'm very sorry. Okay, it's very cool. I in stereo, it just sounds so odd. Like, it's like a delay, isn't it? It's like a ping pong, but it's not a ping pong because everything's coming in and out. Pretty darn cool. Now, the subdivisions have musical notes on them. Don't let that scare you. I'll just run through how changing that completely changes the sound, but let's put that in the middle again. Just think of it like this. The further that LED is to the right, the stronger the rate is going to be. Let's move that fuzz out of the way. Right, so the expression pedal goes in just here. There we go, get in there. This is the Boss EV30, which kind of works with everything. So that's why I use it a lot. Now, the big question with the expression pedal is, what does it control? And the answer is, what do you want it to control? Because you can assign any knob to this. And then all you have to do is hold down the bypass switch and select a knob. So you could make it a volume pedal. Which is kind of cool for doing swells. Or you could adjust the rate, which I guess is a more regular tremolo setting. Now, I'm not going to go through all of those because you can do that with the manual yourselves, but you can also assign more than one knob to the expression pedal. So you could have it ramp up in rate and depth and volume all at the same time. Brilliant. Now, I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't show you the different shapes available, even though we've run through some of them already. I'll play one chord and then sweep through it so you can hear the difference. And therein ends the sound samples because I've covered everything that I want to cover and I really want to get into talking about what I think about the pedal. So let's summarize this review. Now, there are a lot of things I like about this pedal, and I think that Walrus Audio have achieved their ultimate tremolo. Here are the things that I like about the Monumental. Number one, the sounds. It's beautiful. Firstly, the stereo edition that sounds absolutely gorgeous to the Roland JC40 and makes me want to play that amp even more. It goes from classic Fender to modern choppy just by switching a few things, and that is pretty much all I need. The second thing is the presets, because I do like the choppy and the classic subtleness. I need those presets. I need to be able to save some very bipolar settings. Also, the form factor and the build quality, they fit this all into one standard Walrus Audio size pedal when it could have been a bit bigger and it doesn't need to be. And lastly, having the divisions on a little push button is very useful just for doing that. And it feels nice as well. That's a weird thing to say. But there are two things that I don't like about the Monumental. Number one is a totally personal preference, and some of you are going to argue with me about this, but I don't need that many shapes. I only really need sine wave and square wave and maybe that sort of Z-shaped one. But sine wave and square wave, and I'm done. I don't like the random one because it puts me on edge. I don't like being out of control, which says more about me than it does about the pedal. I love the versatility, but I don't need it yet. Maybe I will. Maybe it'll open up some new world for me. The second thing I don't like is the price. I understand why it's priced where it is, and if you're wondering what the price is, it's just over 300 euros. The Monument is just over 200 euros. So you got an extra $100, 100 euros. And the prices will obviously differ where you live in the world. But I worry that most people are not running in stereo and will therefore not get the full value for money in using the Monumental. And it's a shame that the Monument doesn't have presets, because that's really where the power lies for me in these pedals. I do, however, absolutely recommend it, especially if you're running in stereo. So yes, a cracking example of what a tremolo pedal can be. But some of you are not going to get your money's worth if you don't run through a stereo rig. You should try it at least once in your life. It will change your life. That's it from me and the Walrus Audio Monumental. There are links to it in the video description and first comments should you want more information and purchase prices. Leave me a comment while you're down there. Tell me what you think of it. There's also a subscribe button there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!